the server racks in Bangalore's Electronic City have gone quiet. Not because of a power failure, not because of scheduled maintenance, not because of a holiday. They have gone quiet because the engineers who monitored them received termination notices 48 hours ago, and the American companies that owned those servers have begun the largest emergency data migration in the history of global tech. The lights are still on, the cooling systems still hum, but the people are gone, and with them, the invisible infrastructure that kept half of Silicon Valley running. On a Tuesday afternoon in the Oval Office, President Donald Trump sat across from a delegation of Indian trade officials and said 7 words that would rewrite the future of American technology. Your tariffs are weak. India is weak. The statement was made during what was supposed to be a routine discussion about digital services taxes. Trump had demanded India remove a 6% levy on American tech companies operating in Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. The Indian officials, led by Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, had flown 8,000 miles for what they believed would be a negotiation. Instead, they received an ultimatum. Remove the tax within 72 hours, Trump said, or face consequences. The word weak appeared 3 times in his 5-minute remarks. Not struggling, not reconsidering, weak. Within 90 minutes, the response came. Not a diplomatic cable, not a carefully worded statement from the Ministry of External Affairs. A single-page executive order signed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and published simultaneously in English, Hindi, and Gujarati. The order was 127 words long. It did not argue. It did not negotiate. It announced, "And the Kalbandakin Krawer Aktaware." Effective immediately, all foreign technology companies operating data centers, customer service facilities, or software development centers on Indian soil would be required to either incorporate as fully Indian entities with majority Indian ownership or cease operations within 30 days and remove all data from Indian territory within 60. No exceptions. No extensions. No appeals. The stakes were not theoretical. India is not a peripheral player in the global technology supply chain. India is the supply chain. 73% of all American software companies rely on Indian engineering talent for core product development. 61% of all customer service operations for Fortune 500 companies are handled in Indian call centers. 84% of all back-end infrastructure for major Silicon Valley platforms runs, at least partially, through Indian data centers. The numbers are not debatable. They are in every annual report, every earnings call, every investor presentation. Silicon Valley had built its entire operational model on a single assumption that India would always be there, stable, cheap, and cooperative. That assumption died the moment Modi signed the order. First, the data centers went dark. Google, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle each operated at least 4 Tier 4 data facilities in India, housing everything from Gmail inboxes to cloud storage for half the Fortune 500. Those facilities could not be replicated in 60 days. They could barely be inventoried in 60 days. Second, the engineering teams dissolved. Apple employed 11,000 software engineers in Bangalore alone. Meta had 8,400. Salesforce had 6,200. Those were not peripheral support roles. Those were the people writing the code that ran the platforms. Third, customer service infrastructure collapsed. American Airlines, Delta, United, Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, all of them routed their customer complaint systems through Indian call centers, employing a combined 340,000 people. Those centers shut down within 72 hours. Fourth, and most catastrophically, the visa reciprocity provision activated. Any American technology company that terminated Indian employees as a result of the order would face an automatic 5-year ban on H-1B visa sponsorship for any Indian nationals. The trap was elegant. American companies could not operate in India, could not bring Indian talent to America, and could not rebuild their operations fast enough to avoid total collapse. Her name was Priya. She was 34 years old. She had worked as a senior cloud architect for Amazon Web Services in Hyderabad for 9 years. She had 2 children, a mortgage on a small apartment near the office, and a habit of stopping at the same tea stand every morning on her walk to work. On Thursday morning, she arrived at the office and found the doors locked. A printed notice in English and Telugu explained that AWS India was ceasing operations under compliance with the new executive order. Severance would be paid within 90 days. Work-issued laptops and phones were to be returned by courier. Priya stood in front of the locked door for 11 minutes, reading the notice 4 times. Then she walked back to the tea stand, ordered her usual ginger chai, and called her husband. "We need to talk about the mortgage," she said. That sentence, repeated in 340,000 households across Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, and Chennai, was the sound of the largest employment shock in Indian tech history. And it had taken 72 hours. The damage radiated outward in concentric rings. Within 48 hours, the Nasdaq Composite dropped 1,847 points, erasing $67 billion in market capitalization from the so-called Magnificent Seven tech stocks. Apple lost $18 billion. Microsoft lost $14 billion. Google's parent company Alphabet lost $12 billion. Meta lost $9 billion. The losses were not speculative. They were calculated based on disclosed dependency on Indian operations in each company's most recent 10K filing. Grocery delivery services in 14 American cities experienced multi-day outages because their route optimization software was maintained by a team in Pune that no longer existed. Hospital billing systems in California, Texas, and Florida crashed because the back-end support staff in Bangalore had been let go. The city of San Jose's emergency dispatch system went offline for 6 hours because the third-party vendor managing it had outsourced monitoring to Hyderabad. Small failures compounded into systemic fragility, and every failure traced back to the same sentence: your tariffs are weak. India is weak. Warren Buffett, speaking at the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting 3 weeks after the order took effect, was asked whether he saw the collapse coming. He paused for 9 seconds, long enough that the room went silent. Then he said this: if you build your entire business on the assumption that another country will always say yes, you are not running a business. You are running a dependency. And dependencies end the moment the other side realizes they have the leverage. He did not mention Trump by name. He did not mention India by name. But every analyst in the room understood exactly what he meant. Cheap labor is only cheap as long as the provider agrees to stay cheap. The moment the provider decides they would rather be sovereign than cheap, the entire equation inverts. And no amount of quarterly earnings calls can reverse that inversion. 72 hours after Trump called India weak, the Prime Minister of India appeared on national television and said 6 words that would be translated into 48 languages, projected onto the gateway of India in Mumbai, and printed on the front page of every major newspaper from Tokyo to London. We know what we are worth. Not a threat, not a boast, a statement of fact. India had called the bluff, and the bluff had cost Silicon Valley $67 billion in 3 days. Trump had tried to force compliance. Instead, he had proven exactly how dependent American technology had become on a country he had called weak. The term for that miscalculation is not negotiation. It is surrender. Trump tried to intimidate a sovereign nation. Instead, he revealed the hidden fragility of an entire industry. India did not beg for terms. India did not ask for compromise. India simply stopped saying yes. And in that refusal, the global balance of technological power shifted in a way that will take a generation to reverse. Competence does not need to shout. Sovereignty does not need permission. We know what we are worth. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe my channel for daily updates.